Holla ballers, what's going on? Those pandas are becoming so close, and it's time to think about our leveling experience. That's right, our leveling experience and how we can make it so much easier on ourselves for very little cost. As this is the third video in this series, if you've not seen the other two, where you should be is have all your professions capped up and all your characters are pretty close. Remember, you still got time, do it as cheaply as humanly possible, get everything nice and ready, and you should also have a pretty healthy bank balance now. You should have cleared all your crap, got rid of it, all the bags are nice and clean, all the banks have just got stuff that we want to keep long term, good stuff for reforging, transmogging, all that kind of good stuff. But by now we should be in a nice solid position, and now we're starting to think about leveling. Before we get into how do we level, that's going to be another video in the series, exactly how do we level effectively and in a fun way. It's one of the most common questions I get is, how the hell do I level, Preacher? Well, we'll get into that soon enough. What we're going to talk about today is consumables. That's right, we're going to make our life as easy as we possibly can, and we're going to do it today. When we're leveling, we think about getting from quest to quest, all that kind of stuff. We think about having a generally good time. I hope I don't get ganked a lot, that kind of stuff. But we always like to have a little edge. One of the things I plan for while I'm leveling is never really having to return to a city. I hate that. I really do. I want to just continue to go on ahead. I want to sell my stuff at the vendor that I come across while leveling, and then I just want to go off into the world and continue my journey. I kind of want to be like that Bear Grylls guy, or that other dude who drinks his own pee. I want to be like him. I want to be out in the wilds being a complete gangster. Nobody's going to mess with me at all. And for a little bit of cost, we can actually make that so much easier on ourselves. First things first, potions, okay? One thing I did in the last two expansions, and I recommend you guys do too, is you make yourself a ton of potions. Around about 300 potions is all good. You should have plenty of bag space. This isn't going to take up a lot. Around about 300 potions. You then go ahead and you just keybind those to your main attack. So if you're an arms warrior, for example, you just keybind, use Potion of Golem Blood or Golem Blood Potion to Mortal Strike. You just keybind it to it. If you're a balanced druid, you keybind it to Moonfire or Sunfire or whatever it might be. You just tap it in a macro and it's there all the time. Those potions will just naturally get used up. The good thing about this is they cost hardly anything to make. Don't be afraid to drop a couple of thousand gold on this next bit of process. It's well worth it to have all this stuff up. It will save your life. Because at some point during the leveling experience, we start hitting those mobs that really start to hurt. The first couple of levels aren't too bad. Everything's pretty capable. We've got some decent LFR gear. We're okay. We're in no bad shape at all. And then suddenly it jumps. The scale jumps, the difficulty jumps, and things start really hurting. So this is the time where we need to make sure our DPS is maxed. And by just keeping these potions on cooldown all the time and forget about them. Don't worry about it. It's a couple of thousand gold. Who cares? Get it spent while it's all cheap and nasty. Look how cheap the herbs are in the auction house these days. Get them made. Get them made. Get them in there. Just keybind and macro them into there. So get a bank building. Remember, you don't need to do this all at once. You can see I'm not making them all at once. I'm really not. I'm doing bits and bobs while everything's cheap. Just grab a little bit off the auction here, a little bit off the auction there, and get it made. You should have capped professions now on most of your characters. One of you is bound to have an alchemist. Get stuff made. Flasks, the same. It's going to take you, if you rush, it's going to take you about 24 hours to cap. I would say on average it's going to take you anywhere between 30 and 40 hours to cap. So make yourself 40 flasks. 40 flasks is just 2 stacks in your bag. That's all it is. 40 flasks. Prepare yourself for about 40 hours of leveling, and then it's a good leveling experience where you're always buffed up to the teeth. Get those 40 flasks made, just leave them in your bags, put them in the bank for now, do whatever you want to do, and now you're permanently going to be flasked up. And these things will not go to waste. We'll use them in the early 5-mans when we're feeling a little bit undergeared, every little bit of stats matter. We can go ahead and just use our flasks. That's what they're there for. The new ones will be coming out soon enough, don't worry about it. But we've got all these flasks we made really cheap now, we could just use them then. Food. Food's another one, but food's always a little bit controversial in my mind. Controversial in terms of people believe you should just make your main stat food. That's only going to really count for about level 86 and 87. After that, you're going to want hit food. So go ahead and make yourself a few stacks of normal strength, agility, intellect food, whatever it might be. Go ahead and do that. You're going to use them for your first couple of levels. Once you start hitting around about level 88, you're going to start changing your priorities over to hit. Hit is fantastic while leveling. One of the biggest issues people have while leveling is they miss spells, they miss damage, and things start taking a hell of a lot longer to die than they should do. Oh, not being hit capped while leveling is a nightmare. So we start focusing heavily into hit. I really recommend you do this. The best place to get this stuff, of course, is very, very easy. You fly over to the Twilight Highlands. There's a little area called the Obsidian Forest, and we're looking for dragon flanks. And they drop so often. They drop loads of them. You can go and farm for 20 minutes and you'll have 20 hours of hit food. You'll have 20 hours worth of hit food, providing you don't die. Always get a little bit extra. I recommend you get about 60 foods. You're going to die at some point. You're going to use this food while you're in your first dungeons. That's all fine and dandy. None of this stuff you make now is going to go to waste. You're going to use every single part of it, but it's cheaper now, and we've got some free time now. If you're going for some main foods, try and mix it in with some other stuff. I went over to Tall Brad to get some strength food. Did the Tall Brad dailies. Not done them for a hell of a long time. It was a great deal of fun as well. Bumped into some people. Nearly died trying to double kill Problem. Nearly killed myself. But still, it was all good fun. All good fun. The other thing is you're going to be getting new gear. You are going to be picking up new items, yes. And of course, we like to not replace them because we've got gems in our items, we've got enchants and stuff like that. But around about level 88, 89, we're certainly going to see items that are way above what our normal gear is. It's going to be coming from quest rewards. We're going to do some quest chains and get some blue rewards. We might even get lucky. We might do our dungeon quests. We might jump in there. We get a decent item, really high level, around about 433, 450 item level. We want to enchant it, but we don't want to return to the city. That's the main aim of this preparation. We don't want to go back to Orgrimmar and then get our ass all the way back to where we were questing. We just want to continue on. This is where your enchant scrolls. Remember, you can get scrolls of enchanting, and these enchants are really cheap. I'm talking about enchant bracers precision and enchant boots hit. Get those made and leave them in your bags. If you want to do some more enchants, feel free, but in general, you're not going to use them. You can save that stuff till the end. It's the main stats you're after. The big thing is hit. Hit, and if you're melee, of course, or even a hunter, you want some expertise thrown in there as well. Just get your enchant braces hits, enchant boots hit, get a couple of scrolls of each. You don't need many, you're not going to be swapping gear every 5 minutes. Get 3 or 4 at the max, I'd say, and wait till you're really ready to swap an item before you swap it and then enchant it up. But you've just gained a free 100 hit rating, and that keeps you nice and high with your hit, because every level it's going to get further and further away from the hit cap. You don't want that to happen. If you're feeling mega hardcore, mega hardcore, there is some other options, and I'm sure people will post, "Preach, you know you could do this as well." I do know you could do this. I did this in Cataclysm to level as well. If you're going to be leveling solo, this can actually really help you. It's Scrolls of Fortitude 2, and Inscriber makes them, and they're very cheap, and each one gives you 5 charges. Super cheap to make. You make a couple of these, you've got 10 hours worth of Fortitude buff, an extra 500 stam slapped on your character. Really going to help you out when things start hitting really hard. There is also Drums of Forgotten Kings. There is no Cataclysm version. They only made this back in the day. There is no Cataclysm version which gives 10% stats like Mark of the Wild or Kings would do. It does still give 4% stats. That is a lot of stats. That is a hell of a lot of stats when our stats are way into the thousands. 4% extra stats is a lot. I still recommend Drums of Forgotten Kings if you're going to be leveling solo or you're not leveling with somebody, a friend, who is giving you this extra buff. Remember, if you're going to be leveling with a priest, you don't need Scrolls of Fortitude. You don't, in fact, need any of this stuff, but it's really going to help you. Going to give you that slight edge, allow you maybe even just to pull ahead of some other people, get away from people quicker. It's all about when you bump into somebody who's a bit of an ass, steals quest mobs from you, maybe even an opposing faction who's ganking you. By having these extra buffs, you're going to kill things a little bit quicker, you're going to move away from him much faster, and it's generally going to give you a better time while leveling. That's what I'm aiming for in this series, so you're prepared and have a better time, and using your free time now to make life easier in the future. Alright guys, so there's loads of stuff for you to be doing there. Next series, we're going to look at exactly how we level. I'm going to give you some demonstrations of little tips and techniques that I use while I'm leveling. I'm going to help you out with that one. You have a great day, ballers. I'll see you soon.